Hello Year 7 and Year 8, we are back doing week 3 Force and Speed lesson 1. So like usual, we're going to go through a few things first, such as the facts that you will need to learn from this lesson today. These are found in your fact book as well, so there's 4 of them. First one, forces can be a push or a pull. Second one, forces that are unbalanced can cause a change in speed, acceleration. Examples of contact forces are friction and air resistance. And examples of non-contact forces are magnetic and electrostatic. So as usual, we're going to start with a starter, testing your knowledge of the previous facts that we've been over. So there's 4 questions there. The first one, which dye is used to view plant cells under a microscope? Second one, how do you get from a gas into a liquid? Third one, what separation technique is used to get water from salt water? And give an example of a contact force. Okay, if you could pause the video and then answer those 4 questions and then we'll go through them. Okay, so the first one is iodine. So that's the one that you view plant cells under. If you wrote methylene blue, that's the one for animal cells. How do you get from gas into a liquid? So remembering you're going from particles that are moving around all over the place to something that's a little bit more condensed. So condensation is the one that you needed there. Separation technique, distillation. So it's the easiest, it's the boiling point, so you're boiling off the water and leaving the salt behind. And an example of a contact force is friction or air resistance. So that's one of the 4 facts that you need to remember. So it's just testing to see if you've looked at your facts beforehand. Okay, so hopefully you did okay there. We're going to look at simply, first of all, what is a force, and hopefully you've remembered this from primary school and year 7, or even doing it a little bit in year 8. It's a push or a pull. So as you can see there, if you're pulling like on a tug of war, you're both pulling. That's a force as well. Pushing and pulling, it's the same. It's different types of forces. So it's applied by one object on another, and it's measured in newtons. That's important to remember, that your forces are measured in newtons. Balanced and unbalanced forces. So if the forces acting on an object are the same size but they're in opposite directions, they can cancel each other out. So you've got the example here down here of the car that is balanced, the force pushing the car going in one direction and the pushing of the car in the other direction. It's balancing that car out, so it just stays still. Or it can actually move at a constant speed if the forces are balanced. If they're unbalanced and one force is bigger than the other, the object they are acting on actually speeds it up, slows it down, or changes its direction. So if you imagine there's a lot of force behind a car and not enough pushing on the front, it's going to accelerate and go a lot faster. If you've got a bigger force on the front than on the back, it's going to start slowing it down. So, balanced and unbalanced. Balanced, it stays the same or moves at the same speed. Unbalanced, speeds up, slows down, or changes direction. Okay, so we're going to have a go just to see if you can recognise balanced or unbalanced forces and which way it will be moving. Have a look at the arrows. So a bigger arrow would mean that that is the bigger force, and a smaller arrow means that's obviously the smaller force. So you've got 3 pictures there. What you need to do is say whether it's balanced or unbalanced and say which way it is moving, or is it standing still. So pause the video and have a go at those 3 different scenarios there. Okay, so A is unbalanced because you can see that the force going towards the left is actually bigger, so that's going to start slowing it down. B is also unbalanced because the force is bigger going to the right, and that means it's going to start speeding up, so it's going to be moving. C is actually balanced. The arrows are exactly the same size, so that means it's going to be standing still or going at a steady speed if you've managed to grasp the idea of a balanced force. Hopefully you've got those right. Don't worry if not. As long as if you were able to say whether it's balanced or unbalanced, that's a great start. So well done. Okay, so the last little fact that you need to start remembering is the 2 categories that forces can be put in. Now this is something new. They're called contact forces and non-contact forces. So your contact forces means that they are physically touching each other, and non-contact forces, they are physically separated. So examples which will help enforce the idea behind it. For contact, you've got friction. So if you imagine for friction, you've got two surfaces that touch each other, and they're like imagine you're on a bike and you're braking. It's the brake and the tyre. The tyre on the ground, that's two surfaces that are touching. Air resistance, you've got your air particles, and then you've got whatever it is it's resisting, so things like a cyclist. And your non-contact are things that you can't necessarily see. So electrostatic forces, you could have magnetic here as well. Gravitational, so when things are falling towards the ground, you can't necessarily see it, but it can be separated from it. So that is the first week of the forces. So it is week 3, but it's the first lesson of the forces topic. Now it is a little bit of a shorter one, but it's just the basic parts of forces and whether you can remember them. Next lesson is going to be more on the speed side of this. So the facts that you will need to learn are in front of you now. You need to know the speed formula, the unit for speed, what friction is, we've been briefly over it, how it's useful, and what is streamlining. So you'll find those in your fact book that you've been given and sent through the post. If not, they are there in front of you now, so you can learn them. There's no excuses. And please don't forget to keep remembering your facts from previous weeks, because as I started off with this one, you'll be tested on them gradually. Thank you, and I will see you for the next lesson.